Oh, yeah, that's important. 1 sec. Yeah, we're live. We're absolutely live. Put the camera on me, though, the supercut. Hello, everyone. Marnie has quit and took a swing at Tom.
Yeah.
No, Marnie is on Tilly duty at the Tillies.
In Brisbane.
At Brisbane. In Vegas. Is Gold Coast Brisbane? Is Vegas Brisbane?
The Gold Coast should be Vegas, you're right.
But I think Brisbane is Vegas. This is the last fucking one of these you have to do for the year, I think. Christ. And we're joined by an absolute star. I'm going to do this intro again properly on the podcast once we start. We do a soft live. Please welcome Kate McCarthy, AFLW All-Australian player, 2017 leading goal kicker, phys ed teacher for a period, inaugural Hawthorn player, inaugural Saints player.
Yeah, inaugural Brisbane Lion, inaugural Saints player, and inaugural Hawk. And if you have any other startups you need help with, I'll be there.
You're inaugural as fuck. Lovely to have you. Thanks for doing this, mate. We've been fans.
Awesome.
We've been fans from afar for a long time.
I feel like I've just kind of come in at the best time where we're talking about the grand final. I feel a bit rude. Like I feel sorry for Marnie that she's missing out on the big dance to talk about.
I think she was stoked to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, okay, fair. All right,
she's like, you dogs, I'm done.
SOS, someone help.
Just some feedback very quickly already. Our community, we've got in uppercase, Kate Mack. We've got Kate. Wait. There's someone about a VFA game. You were in a fight with someone. A VAFA game. Kate has been epic in the media this year. Gun.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever been on a fight in a football field, but thank you for mistaking me for that person that was in the fight.
Do you think you can handle this? Kate is my girlfriend's mortal enemy because she shoved her in the back during a VAFA game.
Oh.
It's square in the back.
Well, it probably didn't get a free kick either.
No, good stuff. What is VAFA?
Amateurs.
Oh.
Amos.
You were a gun. I got a feeling that before 2017 you would have been a gun, like because you were a gun as soon as the league started.
Well, no, I actually started playing footy in like 2016.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
So you didn't play? Oh, we should talk about this. But then you were leading goal kicker the next year.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, it was one of those years where everything you kicked just went through and haven't had one since. So I've built my whole AFLW credibility on one season of football.
But also, like the photos of you playing, you're jacked.
Yeah.
Like
I was just really lean that first season.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what I should eat to maintain weight. Like not at all. It was just like all of us were kind of just making it work.
Yeah.
We were training all night. We were working all day. It just all happened. We had one training singlet up in Brisbane that you'd put in for a 10-minute cycle when you got home because you wanted to get to sleep because it was 10:30 p.m. and you had to wake up to teach.
Did you stink?
Yeah, absolutely. We only got through 3 sort of weeks without everyone stinking. And then, the photos were just purely a coincidence, really, but they're the ones that I'll use for everything forevermore.
Not enough people talking about the stink. I want to know more about the footy games. I'm going to talk about this on the show.
On the show.
I'm going to put this on my list of stuff. This is going to be a great episode, everybody. I think I want to ask you so many things, but I'm like, let's save it for the podcast.
Save it for the pod.
Do AFL players stink? Just writing that.
Thank you, Richard, for the gifted.
Every week. There's a Richard every week drops 48 grand. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, awesome.
As a gift. Similar to Channel 7, I imagine.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Folks, we've done it. It's the last Wednesday of the footy, or Thursday if you're listening, ever. And by ever, I mean, for 2024. I'm done with this shit. Tom's done. Marnie's literally done. She's not here. She's gone to Tillytown, aka Brisbane. So, and this is going to be a cliffhanger. We've got a special guest who we'll announce after we bounce that pill. And we're back. Welcome to the footy, folks, with Broden Kelly on this beautiful 27th or 28th of November. The last episode for the year. At the start of the year, I had a full head of hair.
Tom didn't have a beard.
Yeah, Tom didn't have a kid, wasn't married.
Yeah.
I never want to see a fucking football again. Welcome to the show. This is a show about if you're joining us now. What are you doing here? But we're talking about footy, and it's a very exciting week because it's grand final week.
Woo!
and the grand final is on Saturday, and it's a rematch, and I'm excited to talk about it. Tom is my co-host. Hi, Tom.
How are you, mate?
Good. I've got this new Schweppes raspberry and blueberry
water,
and it's a vibe and a half.
Yeah, it looks nice. Very nice.
I'm so sick of you.
It's coming for the LaCroix.
Yeah, that's right. But
Yeah.
we don't have LaCroix here.
True.
It's a big thing in America. And as we said, Marnie is on Tilly duty. A lot of the Tillies aren't even going to Brisbane, by the way. Mary Fowler's not playing. And there's, but Marnie's made the move. Marnie's up there.
Yeah, I so imagine the ABC sent.
Yes.
Marnie.
Yes, her employer, yes.
Yeah.
But we have, I was like, what do we do? It's a special episode. Who do we bring in? And I was like, well, we have to get one of the biggest names in AFL.
Then they said no, so you got me.
And so then I went through about 48 people and they all said no. And then we've said on this podcast this year from afar that we're fans of KM. That's what I call her. And now they're here. Please welcome Kate McCarthy, inaugural player for Brisbane, inaugural player for the Saints, inaugural player for the Hawks, leading goal kicker 2017, a phys ed teacher for a period. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. I'm very much looking forward to this. I've also been a fan from afar, so
yes, that's
it's
what
good
we
that
like.
the fandoms can just combine, and neither of us are fangirling or fanboying.
I don't do this often, but when we went to the launch and there was a table of ravioli and there was the garlic bread bowl, we weren't meant to be there. In fact, when we
I'm not sure how we got involved.
Marnie said, "I've organised that you can come."
Yeah.
And we rocked up and there's a big red carpet and we're doing it. And then they get to the door and like, "Your name's not here." And I was like, "Oh, it should be." And they went, "All right, go in."
Legit.
And then so we went in and I just accosted you. I walked up to you. They're like, there's a speech being held by an influencer or something.
Yeah,
And,
that's right, yeah.
And
From Sydney.
yeah, it was like, I love soccer. And and then I walked up to you during the speech. I went, "I think you're the best." And you went, "Thank you." But thankfully, I think you knew who I was.
I did know who you were.
And then walked away, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
But there was a garlic bread table and it was sick.
Garlic bread table and a pasta. What would you call it? A pasta bench?
There was past the bench.
A pasta bench. A
Yeah.
bench of several pastas.
And I did not walk past it. Kate, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You are a star of the AFL media landscape. Is that fair to say to you?
No, probably not, but I'll do my best. I'm a battler, and sometimes you'll see me, sometimes you'll hear me.
You are an Aussie battler.
I am.
That fits right. A bit of everything. You
Yes.
you commentate. You do media punditry. You are on. We were just talking about it off air. One of my favourite shows during the week during the men's season is, what do we call it? I don't even know the name of it.
Armchair experts.
Armchair. The other one, the AFL.com.au one.
Oh, the round so far.
The round so far.
Yes, I did fill in for that for a week or so last year.
And dominated.
Yep, and hopefully you'll see me on it a little bit more next year.
I do hope so. I admitted that the way I would prepare for my Sunday show, Sunday night, is I just watch that show and go, what did they talk about? Because I'm not a smart man, but I knows where the content comes from. But you were great on that. And so there'll be more of you next year doing that.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be exciting.
I was at your first ever game of W at Casey Fields.
Yes.
And it was much like the weather today, a lightning storm stopped that game.
Yep, we got stopped at halftime and had the 20-minute break. And now whenever there's sort of that storm in the men's footy, it was Geelong Hawthorn, I'm fairly sure, that got delayed with lightning this year. I knew all the rules. And they were like, how do you know this? And I was like, I just know all the AFL rules. But
was struck by lightning.
Literally because I'd had it happen when I was playing. So that's the only reason I knew.
I had the experience from watching it. It was a nice sunny day, I think, to begin with, and then it just came down, as is very Melbourne. They got you all off immediately, and then they just went to us. You guys fucked.
Yeah.
Like, there's nowhere. It's Casey. There's nowhere to go.
No.
Yeah, right.
And all of the sort of shade cloths were held up by poles.
Big poles.
Metal poles.
Metal conductors, I would call them.
Like, well, pick your poison. Which one do you want to hold on to?
As I said, we're in Casey. It's 9 hours back to civilization. So there was no.
I had no idea where Melbourne, like anything in Melbourne, sort of was around Melbourne. So I came down to play and I said to my mum and dad, well, we're playing in Melbourne. And they're like, great, we'll stay in Melbourne. And then they're like, all right, well, Casey Fields. They're like, oh my God, we're going to have to hire a car. So
Jesus.
they did that and then tried to drive through the rainstorm in Melbourne
Classic.
traffic, which is awful.
Hey.
And it was just wasn't a great time, really.
It's time to bring our sponsor, visit victoria.com.au if you ever want. No, I'm joking.
And today we're featuring
Yeah.
Casey.
Why not? Yeah,
The Shire of Casey.
the biggest shithole in the world. No, I know. But people live there, I think. The equivalent is Springfield, and Brisbane fans get mad at me for saying that
Absolutely.
Springfield.
No, I would 100% agree with that. As someone that grew up in Brisbane, I'm going to say that's pretty much the direct sort of comparison.
10 out of 10. What do you give Brown Plains?
Oh, Brown's Plains.
Yeah.
Well, we used to call it Brown Stains. So,
Well,
probably a 0.
Did you ever? One quick question.
We once went there for a sandwich.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Did you ever go to the Jersey
did
Mike's
not.
out there?
No.
Oh, so-
There was an American chain that started when we lived in America. There was a chain called Jersey Mike's that we loved, particularly this guy loved, and then they started their prototype, their first flagship one in Browns Plains, and it no longer exists.
We drove an hour
would
to
have
go
thought
there.
that might have been its fate.
Yeah. Some breaking news today, and this is not W Chat. We will get into it immediately, but there are some important, pressing things to get through. Just
Okay,
on
great.
Dwayne Russell today on Midday Madness, the most incredible thing happened, and I can't believe this, and it needs to be talked about. It's almost, if we didn't have a podcast today, it would almost be worth an emergency podcast.
Oh wow! Okay.
Donald Trump called in to Dwayne Russell.
Okay.
You don't believe me?
No, I don't believe
Well,
you.
have a listen to this. Called in.
Donald in New York
To Dwayne Russell.
before the
Okay.
break there. You there,
Oh no,
Donald?
you don't believe me?
Yes, hello there, Dwayne. I hear from my good friend Tanya Plibersek, she's a big fan of yours, that you've been copying me apparently, and I'm very flattered, and I look forward to seeing you next year to come over and see Collingwood, my favourite team with the big American cocks in there, and I can't wait to get to the MCG. We'll be eating the cats, and we'll be eating the dogs, and we'll be eating all of the teams that play there. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, Donald. I thought you were going to give me a Merry Christmas there after it's been a fun hour. That's the beauty of Midday Madness. It's got some madness attached to it. I've had Donald call from New York, and I've had a Merry Christmas on November.
So, isn't that incredible?
That was the worst Trump
It
I've
sounded
ever heard.
Irish to start with.
Sounded like who's the Daffy Duck hunter with the pig?
Elmer Fudd?
Yeah, something like Elmer.
No, that was Donald Trump. He called what is that? SEN.
SEN. You call, you can get on.
Wow.
So I was listening.
There's a vetting process.
Yeah, there should be.
Well, it's Donald Trump.
Clearly
I'm
there's
sure.
not.
I'm sure he has a direct. He has the special SEN line,
Yes.
the one that only Wispy and Gary get. I think. But isn't that incredible? I made the producer of that show send me that clip.
Did you?
So thank you for sending that through, team over there. So the grand final is Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm going. I queued up. Is it sold out? Do we know?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
great.
A lot of debate over whether it should be moved, Broden,
As is always.
as is always the case.
What's 8,000 capacity?
13.
13.
So I think they had 13 there last year, or just over 12. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they're hopefully that number again.
That grandstand's going to collapse.
Yeah. Well, that's
my
why it's
opinion.
only 13 because half the grandstand can't be used. So,
Yeah.
Imagine the other day we were there at Icon looking up at the grandstand because we sort of do broadcast from that side. And we were just like, how devo would you be if that's your grandstand? Like, it's named after obviously some very good
cool
Carlton
people.
players. But like,
sure.
imagine if that's yours. It's like, ugh.
It's part of history, not because Carlton played there, but because it's in season 1 of Underbelly.
That's right.
There's a shot where because there was the Carlton crew.
Yeah.
I don't know how familiar you are with Underbelly.
I did
season.
watch it actually, but not when I've been in Melbourne. So
Yeah.
I watched it from Brisbane and probably had no affinity with all these places. So I should rewatch now that I'm down here.
Don't watch it again.
Okay.
It has aged worse
Awfully.
than hot milk in cheese
Yeah.
outside. It's not great.
Okay.
But at the time, I was at uni. I was like, where is it? You're a bit younger than me, so you would have been in high school.
Probably, I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's a vibe at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Carlton crew, which is your Vince Colossimos and your Mark, they're all there being cool on that Carlton, and they're watching Carlton train. So you can never be knocked down because heritage listed because it's in Underbelly season 1 available on
So you could
Stan.
say that Underbelly has aged as well as the grandstand.
Yeah,
has.
exactly has. But it should be whacked. No, it should. No, I'm going. I've got a spare ticket, Tom.
Yeah.
Would you like to come?
I would love to come.
Yeah, you go.
I just didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, yeah, I'd like to go, and then just did nothing about
Yeah.
it. So that is a godsend.
I feel like there'd be probably a lot of people in that boat because sort of most of the AFLW games, you can kind of just think about it on the day and
Yes.
you roll down and you go. And I think a lot of the fans do that, to be fair.
I did that. I did that for every game I went to this year. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to that. And then on the day,
and then
I
it's
need
sort
tickets.
of, you're like, oh, it's sold out. Now what?
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be a ripping game.
It is the only thing to do in Melbourne is go to AFL. I feel like if you were bringing someone here, unless cricket's on, like go to the cricket. But even so, cricket's like a acquired taste. You don't give someone cricket on day one. But like, if I've got friends coming from America in December and they're going to go to the cricket, but it feels wrong taking someone to Melbourne and not go to the footy. That's the only thing to do here, and you should be able to just walk up and get a ticket.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be great if it was at Marvel, but it's not even available, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the access period. So the access period for any sort of football ground ends sort of when the men's grand final ends. So that's typically been when AFL has finished in Melbourne or in any part of the country. So the AFL actually doesn't have access to any of the venues, even though, yes, they do own Marvel. They don't have access to it because they hand it back over to then
Pink.
obviously make money. Like it's
yeah.
lucrative for them in this time of year, which is
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
It's a business decision. You can understand that. So that's been sort of the argument around, okay, let's move the season forward so that the best grounds are available for the
Yeah.
final of AFLW, regardless of where it's played. So that was sort of the initial thought around why it should be moved further forward. They haven't gone with it this year, but I think it's kind of a watch this space. I would hope if we're starting round 22, round 23 of men's footy, I would hope that we get a couple of games on Marvel in those weekends leading up to that.
Makes sense.
Fingers crossed.
I'm going to ask you all the things we've talked about here, but how do you feel about an international series?
I would love it.
And they'll
Absolutely
win.
love
They'll
it.
win.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will. That's why I've said I'm going to be the coach of Ireland.
Easy win.
I did
fully
put something
jump.
out. I absolutely did. We picked our all Ireland team, myself and Sarah Rowe, and I said, well, you'll be playing, I'll be coaching.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think that's the reason the
'Cause-
AFL doesn't
just
want to do
'cause-
it, because the Ireland would win.
Because your last name's McCarthy? Are you-
Exactly. Yes.
Well, I should be
Ash
assistant coach
McCarthy.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be.
We could just sing, do you know Ratlin Bog?
No.
Oh,
here we go.
the Ratlin Bog. We can just sing that
I
together.
do know the Pogues, the Christmas Fairy Tale of New York. That could be the theme song.
What's that one?
Oh, it's like, you scumbag, you maggot, you cheat lassie.
Oh, yeah, I know
Merry
that.
Christmas, you asshole.
It's a great coaching. You can tell them what to do, and then we can I can teach them sing it, shipping out to Boston, and we can perform that.
Yeah, well, they don't need any coaching.
No.
They genuinely don't.
No.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if I try to coach them, it'll make it worse.
Yeah.
So they just play on instinct, and that's what we need to harness. Ah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
And then we're just like, yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
And then State of Origin.
Yes.
I think that would be good.
Well, I played in the only women's State of Origin. We got absolutely towed. Like towed.
I was at that game too.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah. It was like mid-year.
Yeah, it was at Marvel,
Yeah.
mid-year of sort of footy. So none of us were in condition because it was so far out of AFLW
Yeah.
season. It was after the first season, probably I think it was like April or May.
Yeah.
It was fun. Like, it was a really cool experience playing with like a lot of the girls that we played against at times. But then it was sort of like this thrown together allies team. We're playing against Victoria, who had literally played all of their football
It was
together.
Darebin Falcons,
Basically,
essentially,
yeah.
Yeah.
And they'd played all of their footy together on Marvel, and we got absolutely pantsed. But whatever.
But now it's time for revenge. 8 years later. That's great. Just want before we jump into the AFLW Grand Final, which is this Saturday, 7:30,
Yes.
7:20.
7:45.
Yeah,
Big bounce down.
would hate for it to be easy to
Yeah.
remember. There's some a little bit.
No.
You were a phys ed teacher in more recent years. You'll
Yes.
no longer do that.
No.
What was the best? How were you a cool teacher, or were you were you a year level coordinator?
No. I was just a teacher.
Yeah.
Just the shit kicker.
What were your classes? Did you take like those Bludge Adventure Year 12 VCE ones? Or?
No, so I was a PE and maths teacher.
Oh!
But maths kind of was like a really last minute thing. So I was logging on to set my preferences for uni. I knew I wanted to do teaching, phys ed teaching. And then sort of I wanted to do IT as well, like computers, all of that, design. And then the year that I'd applied to uni, they'd changed it. So you actually couldn't do IT as like a minor. You had to do an IT sort of major or degree
right.
and then do a dip ed, because they couldn't really keep up with how quickly technology was changing and sort of just teach that for teachers.
Hell yeah.
So then I was like, oh God, what now? And I was like, maths it is.
Yeah,
I'll
there
get
you
a
go.
job being a maths teacher. And I actually really love teaching maths.
Are you good at maths?
not overly, but I was always a chapter ahead of the kids, and that's all that matters as a
Yeah.
teacher. But also, I loved maths because it's either right or wrong, and kids either love it or hate it. And I really liked being able to change people's perception on it.
Shit, yeah.
Because they hate it because they can't do it.
I wish
and you can't do it because you've never been explained it properly.
Correct.
So,
I wish I
yeah.
had a good teacher like you, but I didn't.
Yeah, he had bad math
I
teachers.
dropped it very
Bad.
early.
Yeah.
I dropped it in 2004, 8 years ago, and little joke for you.
Yeah, good
there.
one.
Yeah, little match.
Just clarifying that that's a joke. But that's cool. Well, what kind of maths?
I taught like all the way up to sort of VCE maths.
Oh, right.
But that was a struggle. That was a real struggle, but
Yeah.
we got through. But yeah, I enjoyed it for the sense that it was sort of like I couldn't have done PE, like a full teaching load of PE, because you're just in Queensland out in the sun all day, every day.
yeah,
It was
true.
hell.
Yeah.
So it was actually nice to have a balance.
Did you
of
have
both.
a go-to like game you would play with the kids, like for just because I loved. We did a lot of like dodgeball. Or
Oh
the
yeah,
equivalent of
they
it.
love dodgeball. Capture the flag was a big one. They
What's fun
loved
is that?
capture the flag. So flag at each end, halfway point. If you're over halfway and you get tagged, you're out.
Classic.
If you're over halfway, you get the flag, you get it back.
That was a good one.
That's the winner. But I had a kid break his femur in my class playing that game, so I just never played that again.
Sounds good.
It was the most minute sort of collision, and it was this kid, and I was like, "Oh, come on!" Like, I was like, "All right, guys," like, and he was like writhing in pain on the ground. I was like, "Oh, it was a bit dramatic," and then went over, and his leg was dead set at right angles. I was like,
Oi.
all right, we need you to go there. We need you to go there. We need to call the ambulance. Everyone, just
Get
give
the
him
green
some
whistle?
space. Yeah,
I'm sure he doesn't remember it though. It was fun.
nah, it was minor.
For the last one, give us one of them good old-fashioned stings. Thank you.
No, do it on the computer.
No, you can't do it on the computer.
Yeah, okay.
Because we're talking the AFLW Grand Final, brought to you by the good people at Zambrero. I've just made that up entirely. Who's
Is
it,
Denver
Toyota?
the new Suns one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know who's the official partner for the AFLW.
It's NAB,
NAB.
isn't it? Yeah.
NAB.
Remember
And
we
the-
watched the big NAB thing at the launch?
Yep.
Yeah.
The good
NAB,
people at NAB.
AFLW.
Yeah.
The good people at NAB. So it is between, checking my notes, North Melbourne, the North Melbourne Kangaroos and the Brisbane Lions. Second year in a row. These two teams have
Same, but different.
been around it for a while. Rev us up, Kate. What do we got here?
Oh, you've got a team that's coming in undefeated. They have not lost a game since last year's grand final.
North
So that's
Melbourne.
North Melbourne. That was the last time they lost a game of football. They drew with Geelong during the year.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there's been no blip on their record. And then the Lions, who are in their sixth grand final, their sixth AFLW grand final.
Was Marnie was saying that?
Yes.
What is it?
I heard that from
Yeah.
her last week, and that's exactly it. There's never been an AFLW grand final without Brisbane Lions or the Adelaide Crows
Yeah, that's
featuring.
fucked up.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, 'cause
and
they lost
multiple
them-
of them have
yeah.
had them playing each other as well.
Is this their third straight and they lost one to Melbourne the year before?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah,
lost to
yeah.
Melbourne and then beat the Kangaroos last year, and now who knows?
Yeah,
They
fun.
came from behind last year as well, though, didn't
Yeah, it was pretty even at half time, but they were down, like not by a
Hmm.
huge margin, but then were able to sort of wrestle things back a little bit. They were still down at 3/4 time and then kicked away in the fourth.
I feel like they like being there.
Yeah.
This finals as well. Hawks had them.
Yes.
And then last week, they who was it?
Adelaide.
Adelaide had them as well.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing. I think they have a few different strings to their bow. They have a few little sort of magnet shifts that they can make and that they do make during the game, which I think gives them a little bit of an edge.
What do they do?
Well, so they inject Courtney Hodder through the midfield if they need to, but everyone thinks she goes in there for her speed. She goes in there because she's an absolute tackling machine.
Yeah.
Right.
She out tackles everyone. If
Locks
there's
that
anything
shit
there,
down.
yeah, absolutely. And she's just like a little terrier in there. And then if she does win it, she's off and she goes. The other one, they had Jade Ellinger go to Ebony Marinoff, who's usually a half-back flanker, did a really good job in the second half. And Bree Conan, usually if Jazz Garner is getting sort of off the chain, that will be the lockdown role that she plays. So they've got a lot of players that they can throw a lot of different positions.
They've got plans A, B, C, D.
Absolutely.
Which is a direct response to losing to Melbourne in the grand final. That was
Yeah.
what the coach, I read sometime somewhere that
Starcevic.
they were like, we had no B, C, D to go to. So that's been their big change, that they have multiple backup sort of tactics.
How much has their list changed over for all those grand finals? I imagine. a fair-
There's been huge turnover to sort of their top tier players. But the thing that they've done so well is the players under that have all been either like Brisbane Academy players that they've sort of gotten onto really early in their career and have worked with them to develop them. Belle Dawes is the perfect example of that.
Right.
Like, she's arguably their best midfielder, along with Ali Anderson. They're both Brisbane players. They're born and bred in Brisbane. And I remember when I was sort of there at the Lions, Belle was a train-on with Lily Postlethwaite as well. So they've all come through the system. They're sort of...
They've got a real system going.
And they're all really sort of deeply associated with the club. They love the club. They love being a Brisbane Lions player, and they have a great culture there, and that's why it's so
I don't mean this disrespectfully.
No.
It was said to. I mean this in the positive and the negative sense. It was said to me by someone who plays that they're like a cult.
Yes.
And
No, they are.
You played for them.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I think it's a cult in the sense that if you aren't fitting the mold that they want, you won't stay there.
Right.
And I think your football club kind of needs to be like that, to
Sure.
be fair,
Sure.
because then everyone sort of knows where they stand within that. And I think some of the polarizing figures haven't sort of lasted at the club or have wanted to go elsewhere because of that.
Yeah.
And I think, you sort of either like it or you don't like it. And I think there's sort of the reasons behind it as well. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of players go to Melbourne or leave for Victoria. They must then probably have an anti-Victoria vibe, as most Queensland does, actually. I was shooting a show up there during COVID, and we were all locked down in Victoria, but I got out to go and shoot this show, and any Queenslander that I asked, like talks to someone from Melbourne, they're like, how's it going down there? I'd say, it's really bad. Everyone's really sad. And the look in their eye was just like, yes, fuck them all. So I know there is.
Absolutely. And there's this whole like, oh yeah, well the AFL only like talks about Victorian teams and all of that. But I think it's interesting because I've copped so much stick this year from North Melbourne fans thinking that I just hate North Melbourne. For some reason, there's this narrative on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it that I hate North Melbourne.
Right. That's classic. That's classic AFL nuff territory.
Yeah.
Like,
and it came down to a week where I did power rankings every week for Channel 7. And one week I got the message from the guy that does the social media and was like, any changes? And I really quickly looked and I was like, nah, no changes, leave it. And then I reviewed it after it went up and I was like, oh my God. I've left North Melbourne as second and they are undefeated with a percentage of 300 in round 5 or 6. And I was just like, what have I done? And then I messaged him, I was like, I have completely stuffed them. And then he's like, don't worry, we'll put something out next week. So the week after I was like, I'm so sorry, North Melbourne fans, got that wrong. Oh God, nah, you're biased. You don't see blue and white. Kate hates North Melbourne. Even this week, I've tipped Brisbane for reasons that we were just talking about with their ability to go plan XYZ. But I'm just can't see North Melbourne. That's why.
Yeah, no, they're North's fans.
Oh, they love to cry poor, don't
they're
they?
locked in.
Yeah.
I like it because I feel like it's part of their men's team also being shit and but that they're like as a wider culture, they're like, you can feel the club showing up to these games, like that game in 940 degrees on Saturday.
Yes.
They were all there from I was watching from home, but it looks like they were all there.
And I think I sort of say this and people will think that I'm completely taking the piss, but on Saturday, for me, it's really like head versus heart, but the complete opposite way to what you'd think. I actually my heart wants North Melbourne to win. They haven't won a flag. Brisbane have won however many they have.
Yeah.
They're undefeated this year. They have played some of the best football we've seen, and they had a heartbreak last year. When you lose a grand final, it is genuinely heartbreaking. Yeah. They've stuck together. They've improved their system. So I genuinely want them to win.
I think they look better than they did last year.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
I'm tipping them.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of pressure to go in undefeated.
And they're also the favourites.
Yeah, they're the favourites.
And Brisbane will love that. And that comes back to that Victorian bias. So Craig Starcevich, the narrative before the game. We are the defending premiers. We are the ones that have the cup. We beat them here last year and we are still not respected. That is the pre-game speech. That will be what he rolls out.
Is that because you were under him? He was in this Shuey era, yeah?
Yeah. No, year after that.
Okay.
But yes, he and that like early in the comp, we weren't respected at all. We were just guys from Brisbane making up the numbers. It's all about Victoria. And then we sort of had a fair bit of success and then it started to turn. But he will absolutely love that they are not favourites. Watch the press conference whenever it is with the coaches and captains.
Yeah.
And just listen to how salty he is about it. But using that, he'll be so happy because it just feeds a narrative straight away.
Will he coach forever? It feels like it's his house up there.
He absolutely can if he wants to, because look at how successful he's been.
Far out. So it could be Brisbane flag as far as the men's and women's go. Like, that's a powerhouse club.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
very, very... Let's talk about the Roos a little bit more. So they Crocker, Coach of the Year.
Yes.
Jazzy Garner, 1 vote in the...
They actually said she had to give a vote back, so she's negative 1.
No, probably could have got a few more
Ridiculous.
votes.
Yeah.
But North this year, how would you describe them, and what should you be looking for? If we're watching this game on the weekend and things are happening,
Yeah.
how do we know they're on? And, you know...
Yeah, well, I think it'll be dominance through the midfield with Garner and Riddell, just the 1-2 punch of them. And Garner's ability to sit in the midfield but then play time either forward or just push all the way forward. She has this license to just play wherever she wants. Kicked the first goal last week against Port Adelaide, just sort of up against a younger midfielder that didn't really go with her the amount that she needed to. And then she kicked the first goal of the grand final last year as well.
Right.
So she can do it all. But the other sort of Ash Riddell came runner-up by, I think, only 2 votes in the best and fairest to Ebony Marinoff. Her season has been phenomenal, and it's also been her ability to hit the scoreboard. But
Okay.
a couple of youngsters that I just love. I love Alice O'Loughlin in the forward line, a small forward, All-Australian this year.
I love their forward line generally. Like,
same.
the leading out, they've got the most... who's the tall...
So they've got Kate Shearlaw
Yes.
and Talia Randall. So last year, Talia kicked all the goals for them, and Kate sort of played a really similar role to what she's playing this year. And this year it's kind of just flipped. Kate's been the one that sort of got on the end of most of them, and Talia's just played a really nice supporting role as a key forward. And then you've got the smalls of Bella Eddy, Alice O'Loughlin. They've been able to kick a whole lot of goals. And I feel like it'll be the smalls that do the damage for both teams.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, like, you know that a tall forward is... Like, you know Taylor Smith's going to be an option. You know Dakota Davidson will. You know Kate Shearlaw will. You know Talia Randall will. So they very rarely, those 4, get beaten in a one-on-one.
Yeah.
They will bring it to ground, and if the smalls are at their feet, they're going to have an absolute field day. So small defenders, it's going to be a tough day for both teams' small defenders, I
What
reckon.
is the weather going to be? I'm panicking. Is it going to rain?
I mean,
I
it's
think the
raining
last
right
time
now.
I checked, it was
Yeah.
like cloudy.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't rain.
Saturday we have a cloudy, very high chance of showers, the chance of a thunderstorm,
Perfect.
heavy falls possible, winds south to southeasterly. This
The first night grand final.
during the
it's gonna
afternoon,
be
then becoming
soaking wet and freezing
Hang on,
cold.
hang on. Southwesterly during the afternoon, then becoming light during the evening. I feel like it's going to rain in the morning. That's my vibe.
Yep.
Based
I feel like
on-
the last few weeks, that's what it's been.
That's
it sort
what
of
Melbourne-
rains morning, and then the nights are quite nice.
Spiritually in Melbourne, I feel like it's rainy and cloudy in the morning, then clears up in the arvo. But
Well,
other
I
one-
mean, it's still a few days away.
Oh,
the
it's-
weather app is useless until
Yeah,
the day
true,
before.
true.
So.
the bomb are liars. That's how I want to close out. They mean to harm us. I'm sorry, don't listen
I only
to the bomb.
trust Jane Bun with the news anyway.
Jane
so-
Bomb.
Yeah, Jane Bomb. Jane the Bomb Bun.
And then you went in a very nice suit to the awards, the Marinoff night.
Yes, the Marinoffs.
And the Marinoffs.
That's what it should be.
The Marinoffs.
No, that's what it should be. For that year, then, it just becomes the name of the person that won it the year before.
that's
I like
fun.
that.
The
So,
Noffies.
yeah, this year, so for the next 12 months, it's the Noffies. And then whoever wins it next year, it's the Garners.
Yes.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
she won't get a vote again.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, I
Let's
like
just
that.
do that
That's
until
fun.
it's named.
Yeah.
Would you call it you could call it the Phillips Pierce or something?
Yeah, you could, but I think the changing name's better.
Yeah, that's something new. That's new. How was the night? Can I talk through how was the vibe in the room?
It was great. It was lots of fun. It's always a really fun night. I love that sort of AFLW awards are done a little bit differently to the Brownlow. It's
Where
a lot
was
more
it?
casual. It was at Crown still, Palladium, but it's just got a very different vibe about it. I don't think the girls are afraid of, showing a bit of their personality, having a few drinks, but not doing it in a way that's inappropriate or anything like that. But you can tell it's genuinely fun to be there.
Yeah.
And everyone, I love that everyone in the room is so happy for one another. I know that's how it is at the Brownlow as well. But it's one of the great things about nights like that is everyone is genuinely happy for everyone's success. And
Yeah.
I remember Jazz got her first 3 of the night, and the entire room actually stopped and just clapped
That's
and clapped
great.
and clapped. And then there was a little moment and then sort of moved on. But everyone in the room knows how good of a player she is, regardless of how many votes she gets. There's just that much respect for everyone there.
Was there musical acts?
There was. Thelma Plum played.
The Plum.
Yeah, how good.
Thelma's a gun.
I was a massive Thelma Plum fan when I was younger. Like, I
Yeah.
loved her. Used to go watch her at Splendor, all of that. She's incredible.
Triple J Unearthed
Yes.
days, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Thelma Plum. They're still playing Thelma Plum on Triple J.
Yes.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, still going
And
very
she
good.
had to stop playing coin laundry at events because everyone would throw.
That's
back
Lisa
in the day
Mitchell.
where there was. Oh yeah, there was.
But Lisa Mitchell's
She
good too.
was Triple J on Earth, and they had to stop. She had to stop playing.
Do you have a dollar
coin
for
laundering.
me?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and now everyone just throws their pay pass at her, but it's not quite the same.
Oh, Thelma Plum's good. And then what did you have to eat?
Well, we started with a little prawn something,
Nice.
prawn with some leaves.
Prawn leaves.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
into
prawn
it.
leaves.
Yeah.
And then we had obviously the main course, which was a beautiful eye fillet.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
cooked
it
very well.
was it like a chicken then an eye fillet chicken?
No, it was just all eye fillet, except
Eye?
for dietaries, obviously.
Yeah.
Eye fillet and obscene sized cauliflower. I reckon I got like half a floret of cauliflower, a little bit of broccoli, which was obviously a little bit more expensive than cauliflower at the time of purchase. Then a nice little potato gratin and some jus.
No
on top.
dessert? What are we talking?
Now dessert must have been like a little strawberry kind of panna cotta, I'd say.
Yeah, see,
Yeah, that's a pass for me.
about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Maybe
That's all right.
I'm looking for like a sticky date or something.
Yeah.
Or even a swap or one you can swap.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah. Or even just like a little dessert platter.
yeah.
A little of
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
That's what I had at Brownlow. I rated that.
Tom doesn't love sharing dinner things. He doesn't like a spread. How do you feel about a spread? Like you
Like
go out for
family
dinner.
style. Yeah,
Like, let's
okay,
get a
gotcha.
couple of these and
Yep.
share and try.
No, I rate that. I prefer that because I get food envy from what other people order.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, can I just try some of yours?
Yeah, he just doubles down.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I just double
Order
down.
on both, yeah.
I feel like I'll really like one thing and I feel guilty eating too much of that one thing, because
Yep.
we're sharing.
Yeah.
So I end up just not enjoying it.
Well, that was like last week when you had your 3 Subways because
Yes!
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Exactly right.
Now, there was a lot of feedback about that.
Was there?
Did you have any feedback from
I
your
didn't
body?
see anything.
From your body?
No, I was actually so fun. You know what? I think I ran the next day and I felt like surprisingly good.
Carbohydrates.
Yeah, 'cause you actually had energy.
Yeah.
you weren't just eating away at your muscle. You had some carbs in there.
Exactly. It felt good for a while.
There's 2 things Subway are good at.
Yeah.
One
Sandwiches.
is making healthy food. You can't argue with that.
100%.
2, spokespeople. Now, the
Cookies as well. 3 cookies.
Oh, and the cookies.
cookies are
Yeah,
good,
yeah. Depends on the shop. Sometimes they're just dough.
Yeah.
I just
Other
wanna-
times they're black.
Yes, Marnie, I want to check with you. I'm predicting that the vegetarian option at the Crown was gnocchi. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Because it usually is gnocchi.
We can check in.
Having a
Mine's getting
vegetarian
answer.
partner, it's always
Yeah, it's
gnocchi.
gnocchi. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so you're tipping Brizzy. I'm tipping North. Tom, who you tipping?
I'm thinking North for sure. Yeah, I'm back him in. The same
Yeah,
reasons
good.
you were saying before. It's just like,
Mine is the kiss of death, though.
yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry.
We went into the 2017 Grand Final undefeated and we lost.
Ouch.
And that's
To be fair, the season was like 4 games. So
yeah. It was against the Crows as well.
It was, yeah.
And that was the full forwards would have been Sabrina Frederick Traub.
Yes, and Taylor.
Harris.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yep. Who you see
Different.
everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, no, they're around here. They're around. They're around these parts. Okay, great. What else? I'm trying to think of anything else. Lime Cordial are playing.
Yes.
That'll be
yes.
good.
I'm excited for Lime Cordial.
Yeah, let me try and find a song. What song should I look up of theirs?
Do the ones with Idris. They're the good ones. that I
Idris
like.
Elba.
Yeah.
Is he coming?
That would be a cool
Yeah.
surprise guest.
Of course
I think.
not.
No, but unlikely.
Temper. Maybe they'll play this one.
Unlikely.
Temper. There's
Maybe
me
they'll play
in
this
the
one.
Echo.
Unlikely. You keep leaving us on YouTube, Broden.
It'll be a vibe. It looks like the Inspired Unemployed are going to play. When I look at this
That's
photo,
actually very good. That's, yeah. He looks a lot like the guy from the
yeah. It looks like they're about to do some sort of dance
Yeah.
with ray gun. Awesome. Well, that'll be fun.
No, they do have they're good vibes. Their music is very good vibes.
What the hell am I playing? Anyway,
I saw them at Oz Open once, and it was good vibe for that.
Yeah.
Did they say, you guys excited for the tennis?
No, because we were not watching the tennis.
Fair enough. That's a vibe, the tennis, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so good. I love the way they do the tennis. Like, it's just fun to be in Melbourne when
When
the
you walk,
tennis is on.
I always thought it was shit.
Yeah, I would refuse.
And then my friend Joe Koski, who's from Jersey Boys and he's Shrek, made me come with him once. And the way I've set it up, you walk in, it feels like you're going into Disneyland. Like there's music playing.
It's literally like a festival. You don't even need to go to the tennis.
No.
You just buy a ground pass and you go, you eat at all the food stalls that are outside. You sit in the sun for a while. You watch the big screen of the tennis because it's far cheaper than trying to get into the
you can't
actual
get
stadium.
yeah.
And then the musical acts are on sort of later in the afternoon, evening, and it's perfect.
No, well said. I might go. Probably not. Now, anything lastly on the AFLW season? We've talked about it a little bit on our show this year, but it has felt like that the conducing of that few weeks really had a reactive effect on everything else in the season.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this season?
No, I agree. Yeah, I think sort of start of the season, probably the first 4 or 5 weeks were probably the best quality football we've seen. I think there was a game, Geelong and Hawthorn at GMHBA. I think it was a Friday night or a Saturday night game, and that was genuinely the best game of AFLW I've ever watched.
Right.
It was the skills on display, and they're two very attacking teams, two very skillful teams, played in a stadium as well, which helps. Not wind affected or not as wind affected as some of the grounds are. And it was elite football. Like if you want to show someone AFLW, show them that game because the improvement of that from what we sort of started at, it's just miles ahead of everything else.
I almost wanted to do that. I wanted to go back and watch the Collingwood-Carlton game and see how far it's come because I felt that watching even the games over the last few weeks. That Port Hawthorn game for one.
Yep.
Well, that last quarter was beautiful scoring football. Yep. And then the games for North were great. Port not so much.
Yeah.
But so do you feel like next year there'll be a lot more of games like that potential? We're allowing that to be the case.
Yeah, definitely. And I think now you're really seeing the teams that either one have a sort of more dominant skill level, but also they're better coached in the sense that they know what their game plan is. They know how they want to move the ball. They know what their coach wants of them.
Right.
And you can clearly see how they want to do that when they're playing their football.
Yeah.
North, it's so clear. Hawthorn, it's so clear. Brisbane, Adelaide to some extent, and even Port Adelaide, they knew what they wanted to do with the footy. And because they did, and Lauren Arnell just wanted to score points, it allowed them to be in a position to still win that game in the fourth term. So, yeah, I think the teams that have less clarity on their roles, they're not sort of as skilled as well, don't have as many sort of footy smart players now. You can really see the difference between those developing teams and the ones that know what they need to do out there.
Yeah, exciting. Marnie said pumpkin risotto.
Close.
That could have been
That would have been the next,
third,
yeah.
If you were to tip one team next year who might win it, and it can't be North or fucking Brisbane, because it'll probably just be this again. Who would you tip coming up?
I'd go Geelong.
Geelong.
Yeah.
So this is the chat, isn't it? Because it's the ones that were out this year with Geelong that's the thing, isn't it?
And also they had a shitload of injuries, like so many injuries. Georgie Prasparkas, Amy McDonald, two of their best midfielders that complement each other so well, played like a quarter and a half of football together up until like round 6. So they were in and out of the team at opposite times. And then the game that they were in was that first half against Hawthorn, and they were competing really well and then lost Amy to a really bad hamstring, and all of their tools were injured.
Yeah.
They've also just recruited a tool from volleyball. Caitlin, I can't think of her last name, but all of the clubs were after her. Everyone wanted her. She's a up-and-coming sort of ruck that's going to play, and she is so athletic.
That is a red flag whenever someone's a volleyballer. It happens in the NBA a lot too, and like Joel Embiid was a volleyballer. It says athleticism and big, and
there was like 5 or 6 clubs that were into her to get her, and Geelong got her signature, and they desperately need tools. So
we've got to do something about this bogan draw that Geelong has across the men's and women's. We've got to stop it.
Yep.
And these having farm bullshit, like lifestyle cotton on shit. We can just
Farm Week's only good because they wear a collar on their jersey.
They're not real. The hobby farm.
But Farm Week.
Jeremy, if you told Jeremy Cameron to load up the silo with wheat grain or something, I'm sure
I reckon he could, but Tomahawk couldn't.
Tomahawk is a liar. He was a dairy guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He probably knew his way around an udder. Now, what the hell? Oh, draft in December. Who are we looking at for the draft?
Oh, it's going to be a huge draft. Well, the person with the best name in the draft should go very high, Zippy Fish. Zipporah Fish from Western Australia.
What?
Yeah. Zippy Fish is what everyone calls her.
Zipporah Fish?
Yeah.
Is that like a fancy fish
it
from
sounds like,
Maya?
Yeah.
Like Sephora?
Yeah.
as a foreign fish. Wow.
Yeah, she's elite. Really, really good. There's like, it's like the boys, it's a super draft. It doesn't get thrown around a lot in AFLW, to be completely honest. And sort of last couple of years, it's been like, oh, yes, but the draft in 2024, 25 is going to be huge. So I've heard so much about it from all of the list managers, all the recruiters. It's going to be a massive draft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
Gold Coast Academy.
Yes.
Oh, none of that.
Yeah.
No more of
A
that.
couple of good ones I hear.
Oh, I'm worried about Brisbane. Are they getting more players?
Probably. But to be fair, they've probably also taught them all their skills. They've developed them. They've put time and effort into them.
Invested.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to pivot to the men's draft, which happened last week.
Yes.
Which was, I was very excited. I watched it all, and the only people who were interested were me and Richmond fans. And they were going, "No,
Seeing
this
as
is
they
best,
had 4,000 picks.
the best night of my life." Like my mate Max, who directs for Auntie Donna, he was like, every fight, he's just all night watching it and just engage with it. So good on them. It literally is like, how many, 8 players or something? You know?
Yeah.
But also the one I was going to point out pissed me off is 19 out of the 72 or something like that were public school.
Oh.
And I was like, there's apparently a draw of like parents who want their kids to do well at Footy will send them to private school,
Yeah.
and there's all this. But why is it so intrinsically linked to the AFL structure? Like, why does it have to go through that funnel?
It was because they get scouted basically. It should be like what school did you go to up till year 10?
Yeah.
Because I reckon so many, or like whatever the age is, like 8 or 9, year 8 or 9 or 10. Before that, I bet 90% of them went to a public school
Yeah.
and then got a scholarship across to play for that
Yeah.
school.
It's a bummer that it's so like, because there would be, I heard a story, a Demons player talking about who went to one of the private schools and was fast. And he wasn't really that interested in footy, but there was just so much infrastructure and coaching around this young player that he was like, I'll give it a crack. And because of that just infrastructure and support, it just meant so many more things were. And I was like, how many fast kids did I go to school with who would have been great, but just weren't, we had, Mr. Fuckface as the teacher,
Literally.
not helping, or like how many kids out there?
And me teaching them.
Well, I'm sure you would have been great.
We had the CEO's brother teaching instead, I guess.
That's true.
so-
We had Andrew Dimitriou's brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it's
he was
true.
good. And he wasn't Mr. Fuckface, by the way.
Yeah.
It is. It's like such a shame when kids don't have access to some of the resources because of their socioeconomic status.
Yes.
That we're it's really, really unfortunate that it has become a game like that. And there's so many, every sort of elite sport now is like that.
Yeah.
Even like Olympic pathways and things like that. If you can't afford to get your kid to this place or that place or whatever it is, they don't get seen. And it is a real shame. And you think of how much talent is sort of in the top end as well.
Yeah.
Floating through Darwin, the NT. I know there's so many programs in place to try and pick that out, but at the end of the day, if a kid doesn't have access to things to get to those things, you can't get picked up.
How often is the story for First Nations play that they had to come and do private school in Melbourne?
Yep.
And if I was 15, I was asked to move to the other side of the country.
Yep.
Away from my family, I wouldn't be able to do it.
There's a school called MITS that does incredible things for Indigenous students that come down and go to school through sort of that college, and then they play football while they're down here. They go back for school holidays and stuff, and it gives them a real sort of chance at that. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get drafted or anything like that, but it gives them an opportunity to be also around other Indigenous kids and not feel like they're leaving home to be isolated and be in a school that's sort of, you're the only Indigenous kid at this school or things like that. It's much more sense of community, which is great.
I mean, that's one of the only like good arguments for a Darwin team. I think it's not a huge population up there, but if that infrastructure there, I feel like that could
the talent that could unearth. Yeah.
Anything about the cricket? We suck at cricket.
Oh my God, that was awful.
We're
I
really
didn't watch
shit
a
at cricket.
It was
second.
atrocious.
We got pumped by India, man.
Yeah, I heard.
It was like worse than the Hobart 2016 Test match where we were really, really bad.
We're
were
real
worse.
shit. We might turn it around, but it does make Boxing Day interesting
It does,
potentially, and
yes.
it makes the where's the next one at? Adelaide.
Adelaide, I think. Yeah, it's Adelaide. Yep.
Which will be great.
And don't forget, John Longmire's gone. He left.
We got to talk horse. I didn't write down horse. Yesterday they broke the news that Longmire is moving into the role of it's like executive football guy. And Dean Cox, who halfway through the year was essentially offered West Coast's job and went, I'm all good.
Yeah.
And they went, why? He's like, I'm cold. And has been given this
Reeked
job.
of succession plan, didn't it?
Yeah. But that was apparently going to happen at the end of next year. but
Yes.
then they've moved it ahead to now. So I think Longmire probably had the room to just go have a little break and go, I'm sick of losing grand finals.
Fair. Well, I thought it would happen this year if they won the granny. I thought if they win the
Right.
granny, he's going to announce that he's done, and
Yeah.
Dean Cox will just step straight into it. He lost quite poorly. Obviously not his fault. The entire team lost poorly. And I think he's just, if you're going to step into a role that he's going to step into, you'd rather leave like that, wouldn't you, than sort of risk it going south.
That my main thought after it, looking back, is that in 2002-ish, they sacked Rodney Eade, and the caretaker coach was Paul Roos. And I'm sorry it's so cold in here. and they told Terry Wallace that he had the gig, so he quit Bulldogs and said, I've lost passion for doing this, but he had the little handshake. And then the fan base said, no, we don't want him, we want this guy Roos, the ex-captain, we want him. And then like sort of power turned it over.
Poor old Terry.
And from that point, they have had a successful 23 odd years of coaching succession where there's been no sackings, they are just one of the most efficient, smooth running organisations in sport across the board. You never hear any dramas from, and dramas happen. Like this year there was infighting with like reality TV show dramas going on. And
even Callum Mills in the off season with his shoulder and Mad Monday, which was a freak accident, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But,
Like, and I mean, like the geography of the
manage it so well though.
Yeah. It's funny to say that the harbour is off Broadway, but it is.
It's off AFL Broadway.
Yeah, we were even talking with someone about like people don't go down the highway for a Geelong presser, so they're like, let alone Sydney. But it helps them so much. But they're just so beautifully, smoothly run that it's just I admire it.
People say similar about GWS, don't they?
It's exactly. No problems at GWS.
There's never been a scandal there.
No. Jesus Christ. They had, what's his name there the other day? The Fast Man.
Yes.
Who's the Fast Man?
So I Show Speed, is that the name? Yeah.
Yes.
I Show Speed?
Yeah. I feel like that came into my head. I don't know.
No,
So he's fast on the internet or?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's in the
I
memes.
just saw that he was there, so I was
Just
like, must be a cult figure of something.
Just a couple of mid-30s people having a chat.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, great. Well, it's been wonderful having you on. You've been fantastic this year, obviously for the M and where you've been across that, but particularly for the W, you've been fantastic. So thank you so much for championing that so well, and always been a great yarn.
Thank you very much. It's been great to be here, and I do not hate North Melbourne. I'd just like to say that. Thank you to all of you listening.
She's winking.
Yeah.
No, she's not. This is the last podcast for the year. If you want to join us at
11:30.
About midday on Saturday, we're going to do a live with the original trio of Paul, John, of Marnie, Tom, and Bro.
Yeah. And my son will be here.
And Atlas, Tom's got to bring his son, who's 12.
He's 2.
All right. And we're going to do a live little chat before the grand final to get you revved up. And then that will be us done. And then I'm never talking to you again.
Yeah.
You hear me?
For 2 whole months.
We need a break.
Yeah. I should tell the people that one of the reasons we're taking the break is because I'm having a second child.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't know that.
Oh, and then we'll roll it, yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's a boy.
We don't know.
You just made that up.
I've just made that up,
Yeah.
but I can
You
feel.
would make that up.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, you would want it to be a boy.
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah.
Get rid of the W.
So when we come back, I'm going to be truly broken.
Yeah, he'll be true.
Yeah.
That's right.
You'll need a break from having the break. You'll be like, please,
I'll
can we
do
get
the
back
Channel
early?
9.
Yeah.
Just quickly though, I do want to say thank you so much for covering W in the way that you guys do here, because there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of people of influence in men's footy, in comedy and everything that only cover men's footy, and they don't cover women's footy at all until there's something that comes up. But it's really, really good. I love the work that you guys do here, and everyone doing what we're doing sort of helps to improve the game as well.
Thank you.
It's
So,
very
I mean,
kind.
Marnie is the champion from our end, and we do our best. I put my foot in it all the time, but we do enjoy it, and we do our best.
I'd say we're as wrong about the W as we're wrong about the men's, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's either way.
And I often start conversations. Now, I don't watch W, but I like doing that.
That's my favourite W punter.
Have you seen this? I don't watch it, but have you seen this and that? No, I can't wait for it. If you want, I was going to do for the Channel 9 promo for Tom next year. Stay tuned. next year, Tom will be mentally and physically broken. So tune in. Thanks, guys. It's been a wonderful year. Enjoy Chrissy with a Bataki ham. And we'll see you soon. Bounce said pill. Kate, I woke up this morning and I was like, this is going to be sick. And it was. You were great.
Thank you. It was lots of fun. Really enjoyed it.
And I was
Such a
looking
good
at you,
episode.
and I was like, you got great fashion sense as well. And that I have same glasses as you, and cool shirt. You're just rocking it. Big fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're good too.
Thanks, mate.
You do have a coffee
I
stain
have
on
my
your
coffee
shirt.
stain on me.
I can't see that from here. So
Yeah,
you're
that's
clear.
good. Perfect.
Yeah, play
Yeah.
on.
I was telling him beforehand. I went to a Christmas function for my partner at one of the houses, and I woke up tired. I was hungover actually. I went out with Marnie, and and I put a shirt on, and I was like, "This will do. This is fine. It's not washed, but it's fine." I got to the party, and it was covered in Grimace shake.
Oh, no. I didn't know anyone actually bought those
Oh
things
yeah, I've had 3.
in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm full of Grimace. I am Grimace. You got to have 3 shakes to become. Yeah, I had purple shit all over my shirt, so it wasn't good. Thank you everyone for chatting. I'm just going to quickly read. Everyone's being very lovely and supportive and nice. There's been love. Late to the party. Great to see Kate Mack. Saw your first goal against the Pies. First game in 2017. Ran away from them 3-4 bounces and slotted it. I've been a fan since. That's
Same.
from Fitzroy 001. Yeah, lots of lovely chats. I'm just scrolling very quickly. It is the coldest room in the world. I do apologize.
Do you want me to turn off the aircon?
I mean, we're done anyway.
That's all good.
Yeah.
What do you think the score would be?
I think it's going to be like a 9-10 goal game.
9-10?
Yeah, like a 9 or 10 goal game. I don't
Yeah.
think there'll be more than 9 or 10 goals scored in total.
One behind off. Oh, no. 1 goal off perfect.
Yeah.
9-11 goal.
Yeah, 9 to 11
What does
games.
Kate think would be the score if the 27 Premiers played versus the 2024 Wooden Spooners?
The 20.
So
Wait, what?
Brisbane, no, who won the 2017, Gren?
Adelaide.
Oh, Doggies? No, Adelaide. And if they played the 2024 Wooden Spooners, so
Collingwood.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty even.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Actually, to be fair, most of Adelaide's team is still very similar, so it'll probably be a smashing.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a
Thanks,
wonderful night.
everyone.
Stay off the roads. It's raining if you're in Melbourne. And bye. See you later.